The man of sin and Israel. This is the original pimp and whore paradigm. Stay tuned. Hey, more amazing insights for you today in today's video. Unbelievable. The man of sin and Israel. It's true. This is the original pimp and whore paradigm. So stay tuned. We are doing this video today, which is a subset video of this one right here, harboring Satan's building materials. Put that one out a while back. Go watch that video. There'll be chock full of things there that you're not going to see here. They have a relationship, but they're not dependent on one another. Let's get into it right now. First thing we want to see about the man of sin in Israel is Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble is the last 42 months before Jesus returns to rescue Israel. Jeremiah 30 verse 7 says, "Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble." And I'm going to ask you, does that mean the church's trouble? But he shall be saved out of it. Take a quick look at this right here, because it's what we're going to be looking at in a three-step process today. From left to right, we've got Genesis through Revelation. And you'll notice that Romans through Philemon, I have bracketed and in red. These are very clearly Gentile books above all else. And they are denoted especially to the church. So we're going to see Israel coming in as Laban and Rachel in relationship to the man of sin and the woman who rides the beast. We're going to see that growing in Israel in the book of Proverbs. Jacob's trouble coming from the seed, now to the growth. And we're going to see that it bypasses the church because it's Jacob's trouble, not the church's trouble. And we're going to see why this is so important that it bypasses the church. And then it's going to end in Revelation, where we're going to see Israel in Jacob's trouble, harvesting Jacob's trouble. And we're going to see that from start to finish, this is a pimp and whore paradigm. We're going to start here with that Genesis seed. Now, this is from Genesis 31, various verses. I pulled the verses to make the points that we need to capture in order to understand this. You can go back and read all of Genesis 31 for the full scenario. The point one I'm going to make is that in Genesis 31, it says Rachel had stolen the images. Okay, this is a key word. The images that were her father's. Who's her father? Well, Laban's her father. And Jacob stole away unawares to Laban the Syrian. Now note also that Laban is a Gentile here, a Syrian. So when Rachel steals her father's images, it's time that Jacob steal away as well. We have two thieves here, but that's another story. So they run from Laban. They all depart unannounced, and they take off, leaving Rachel's father, Jacob's father-in-law. But it was unbeknownst to Jacob that Rachel had stolen the images. So when Laban chases after Jacob, point two here, it says, "Then Laban overtook Jacob. Yet wherefore hast thou stolen my gods?" He wants to know why Jacob made a radical departure unannounced, bailed on him. And among his concerns are, where are my gods? Now, these gods were probably laden in gold or entirely gold. They were probably worth some good money. And what's happening here is Laban is beginning to take the shape of the antichrist. And he is coming after Rachel, who's starting to take the shape of the woman who rides the beast. And Laban, the pimp, he's coming to the whore and he's saying, "Where's my money?" Point 3, and Laban went into Leah's tent. Now, Leah really in prophecy represents the Gentiles. And you'll notice that there were no images or gods in her tent. She is not the filthy whore of Revelation chapter 17 and 18. We're going to see that Rachel indeed is a picture of that. Then went he out of Leah's tent, as I said, a picture of the church having no relationship with the man of sin. Man of sin enters her tent, no relationship. He departs. And entered into Rachel's tent. So Laban, now in Rachel's tent, that pimp is hunting down his whore for his money. Now Rachel had taken the images and put them in the camel's furniture and sat upon them. The camel is the unclean animal. And here we see Rachel sitting upon the camel's furniture. And in there were all of the gods and images, the abominations, the filth. This is the woman riding the beast. And she's an unclean woman, a filthy woman. She's a whore. Point 4, and she said to her father, "Let it not displease my lord, that I cannot rise up before thee, for the custom of women is upon me." Again, those were all Genesis 31 verses. You can read the whole story, but clearly you're going to see here how Laban is coming after her like a pimp looking for his whore, chasing down his money. And I ask you, this first warning where we're starting to see the Antichrist and the woman who rides the beast, both in Revelation 17 and 18, emerging, is this warning to the church or to Israel? Clearly, it is to Israel, because in Genesis, God is writing Israel's history. That was warning 1. On our Bible books chart, we see it right here. The seed has come forth. Jacob's trouble in seed. Next, we're going to stop in the book of Proverbs to see Jacob's trouble growing in the pimp and whore paradigm. And these are going to be various verses from Proverbs chapter 2, verses 10 through 17. I encourage you to read the whole thing. For time's sake, I have pulled necessary components. Point 1, Proverbs 2, 10 through 17 begins this way. Discretion shall preserve thee. Now, in the day of Revelation 17 and 18, the whore, the woman who rides the beast, Mystery Babylon, and her relationship to the Antichrist as her owner, that is what Israel needs to be preserved from that day of Jacob's trouble, which is coming. You'll notice in the word discretion that God chooses in Proverbs 2, that has the word discern built right into it, right there. If they could only discern, it should preserve them. And the same goes for us. If we could only discern, we would understand that Jacob's trouble belongs to Jacob, Israel clearly, and not the church. Point 2, after saying discretion shall preserve thee from what? To deliver thee from the way of the evil man. That's the man of sin, the Antichrist, right here. And then it says, whose ways are crooked, and they froward in their paths, describing the Antichrist. And then we have a colon. Note the punctuation, because immediately it's going to change. The narrative in Proverbs 2 here is going to change from a man, the man of sin, to a woman, the whore of Babylon, to deliver thee from the strange woman. That's what comes right after the colon. To deliver thee from the strange woman. You see, the pimp, he's going to send his whore, which flattereth with her words, which forsaketh the guide of her youth, and forgetteth the covenant of her God. This is Israel. Exactly. And here you can see, by discretion, Israel could be preserved from the coming day, the harvest of that seed that was planted in Genesis, where the evil man, the man of sin, and the woman which rides the beast, they could be spared. This is the warning again to Israel. Warning number 2 to Israel, not the church. So we see that now in our Bible books chart. There it is. The seed, which began in Genesis, growing in Proverbs. It's going to make its way to Revelation. The church is going to be spared out of it. Now we are in the book of Revelation. Point 1. We're reading various verses here from Revelation 17. Let's go to 1 here. And I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of filthiness of her fornication, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Here is the full-blown version of Rachel, the woman who was riding the beast, the camel chest, the unclean animal, the woman who was having the custom of the woman, dirty, filthy, a whore. Here she is, and nothing has changed save she's become worse. And you'll notice that in the name written on her forehead is exactly what she was hiding in the book of Genesis. The Lord Jesus said, there is nothing hidden which shall not be revealed. And in the words, mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth, we have the word Laban's, spelled in order right out, reading left to right, because Laban was Laban the Syrian. We read that. And as a Gentile, the Gentiles read from left to right. Continuing on her forehead, mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, there's the whore, and abominations of the earth. And when we read in the direction of Israel, we have the word images right here. There they are, imported all the way from Genesis, preserved in the King James Bible, Laban's images. And she has on her forehead the name of her pimp. And he's coming and he wants his money. And what do pimps do when they don't get their money? They beat up their whores. That is the way of the pimp whore paradigm. Don't hand over the money, get beat up by your pimp. Point 2, these have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto Laban, beast, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon Laban, the beast. These shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. This has the pimp whore relationship all over it. Revelation 17, various verses. And this is warning number 3 to Israel, not the church. The man of sin and Israel, they shall have the relationship, not the church. Laban ain't your uncle, and Laban ain't your pimp. 2 Corinthians 11:12, the apostle to the Gentiles says this, "For I am jealous over you with godly jealousy, for I have espoused you to one husband, that I may present you a chaste virgin to Christ." The church's destiny is not spotted by the antichrist, the pimp. So when we see these books right here, Romans through Philemon, namely the church epistles, not that others do not have important information for us, lead and guide, but these are special to the church. God brackets the church. He makes the church an ellipsis because it is a mystery that was hid in God, not formerly known in these times. And we can see, because the church is the church, let's not get confused. The church is not Israel. And Jacob's trouble, clearly for Israel. Think of all the Old Testament, which speaks of the unfaithfulness, adulterous relationship of Israel toward God. And how many times he had to reprove Israel for playing the harlot. Jacob's trouble, the seed, Israel, not the church. Growing in Proverbs, well, that was revealing Israel, not the church. And its harvest, Rachel, the woman riding the beast, and Laban, the antichrist, the man of sin, prefigure. Well, those are for Israel as well, because the church is a mystery body. It came in mysteriously through the side of the Lord Jesus. When he was pierced, and out of his side came blood for the termination, and water for the cleansing. Special. And this mystery body, it came in a mystery, is going to be taken out in a mystery as well, in the twinkling of an eye.